Hey, I've been reading a great book and I wanted to share it with you today. It's called Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. John was recruited in the 60s to go to work for the NSA. And it's just a great read. And I read something I just got to share with you. He was in Indonesia trying to see how far they could build that country up and how much money they could lend them. And his role as an economic hitman was going to say, well, over the next 25 years, if we give you a lot of money, loan you a lot of money, how big can you grow this? How much electricity, how many dams? And then they would then loan them money, and then United States companies like Bechtel and Halliburton would come in and build the infrastructure. And I won't go into the rest of it, but it's a great book. But something just really stood out because it's so relevant to what's happening today. So while he was there, he went to a play, and this guy was really, putting down the U.S. and the West, and because Vietnam was going on. And then he got into it with a young woman, a student there, and they had this conversation. Vietnam is just a holding action, she said, like Holland was for the Nazis, a stepping stone. The real target, this is in the 60s now, the woman continued, is the Muslim world. I could not let this go unanswered. Surely, I protested, you can't believe that the United States is anti-Islamic. Oh no, she asked. Since when? You need to read one of your own historians, a Brit named Toynbee. Back in the 50s, he predicted that the world war in the next century would not be between communists and capitalists, but between Christians and Muslims. And when I read it, I was blown away with this ISIS murdering Christians and crucifying them and beheading them. And he gets into it a little bit more. And then at the end of the day, he says, and there's more conversation here, but then he goes, what a horrible thought. I could hardly contain myself. What can we do to change this? And this is where she really caught me off guard, a young woman in her 20s, in the 60s. She's an English major. She looked me directly in the eyes. He asked the question, how can we change this? Stop being so greedy, she said, and so selfish. Realize that there's more to the world than your big houses and fancy stores. People are starving, and you worry about oil for your cars. Babies are dying of thirst, and you search the fashion magazines for the latest styles. Nations like ours are drowning in poverty, but your people don't even hear our cries for help. You shut your ears to the voices of those who try to tell you these things. You label them radicals or communists, or now Islamist extremists. You must open your hearts to the poor and the downtrodden, instead of driving them further into poverty and servitude. There's not much time left. If you don't change, you're doomed. I believe that humanity is at a critical point in time. On one side, we have the system destroying the middle class, and pretty soon there's going to be a few haves and just a lot of have-nots. That's one consciousness. I call it duality conscious, where you lose, I win. Competition. There's not enough for everybody, so I need to get mine before you get it from me. But I'm convinced, after all the studying and reading I've done and the people that I'm meeting, the people coming into my life today, that there's a new consciousness awakening here on this planet. And it's a unity consciousness. It's about the fact that there is no separation between me and you and anyone else. And we're all connected to our source, our creator, and to one another. And I believe that if enough of us, not all of us, just enough of us can embrace this unity consciousness. And I talk a lot in my book about love and service. I believe why we came to this planet as souls and took on form as a human body was so that we could love and serve one another. And just think, if everybody in the world did that today, poverty would stop, everything would stop. I wouldn't let you starve, I wouldn't let you go thirsty. I would help you. And honestly, that's what I'm doing with my life. I've come to the realization that that's what humanity needs. And let me tell you, the beauty of it is, I've never been happier, I've never been more loving, I've never felt better. And more importantly, the universe blesses me with all these other opportunities. The more I give away, the more I receive. That's how it works. So I just wanted to share that with you today. And please, if nothing else, just be a little kinder, more compassionate, and more loving. And I'm convinced you'll be happier, you'll live longer, and your life will be filled with purpose. Till next time, thanks.